Welcome back. On the global oil market, prices recovered some ground today on strong demand in the United States, but analysts cautioned that oversupply would continue to drag on markets after a steep fall in the previous session. Brent crude futures were trading up 34 cents at $48.13 per barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 32 cents at $45.45 per barrel. The gains reflected firm fuel demand in the United States, where data from the American Petroleum Institute on Wednesday showed that U.S. crude inventories fell by 5.8 million barrels in the week to June 30 to 503.7 million. Prices have managed to recover ever so slightly after API released its inventory data, which showed U.S. crude inventories falling. However, overall market conditions remain weak. And for more on the oil market, here is Bolanle Olutosin, research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company here in Lagos. Good afternoon, Bolanle. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Bolanle, if you can hear me, can you give us a brief update on the current dynamics driving oil prices at this time? Well, we seem to have audio issues there getting through to Bolanle. Well, we'll get back to her as soon as that is rectified. Now, looking at the precious metals market, gold held steady today after hitting an 8-week low in the previous session, as the Federal Reserve minutes released on Wednesday showed the central bank has a split on how inflation might affect the future pace of interest rate hikes. Spot gold was nearly flat at $1,226.70 per ounce. It touched $1,217 in the previous session, its lowest since May 10. U.S. gold futures for August delivery gained 0.4% to $1,226 per ounce. The details of the June 13-14 meeting, at which the Fed voted to raise interest rates, showed several officials wanted to announce a start to the process of reducing the Fed's large portfolio of Treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities by the end of August, but others wanted to wait until late in the year. We move on now. A company in Kenya is manufacturing briquettes from human waste and sawdust collected around Nakuru, a town in the Rift Valley region. Now, residents have embraced the briquettes and are using them for cooking and other purposes. The project aims to help protect the environment and improve sanitation, especially in poor parts of the town.
Human waste is the main raw material used at this processing site. The sludge is left out to dry for 2 to 3 weeks. The heat in the greenhouse reduces the moisture content from around 95% to below 20%. The dried out sludge is then treated at temperatures of about 700 degrees Celsius, with the accompanying sawdust carbonized at 300 degrees Celsius.
Carbonization basically is a process whereby you increase the carbon content of your materials. In this case, we are using the drum kiln, whereby the sludge is fed. The drum has some holes at the bottom. These holes allows the oxygen to come in a controlled manner. That oxygen will only support combustion, but to a certain level, so that it doesn't burn completely into ash. In this way, you are able to eliminate all the volatile matters, all the harmful gases, and it is at this point that you ensure that your sludge doesn't smell. It's safe for handling when you are carrying out the other processes, which is milling and briquette production.
When ready, they are put out in the open to dry. A kilo of briquette sells for about 50 US cents. The company says they plan to improve efficiency of the plant as the demand keeps growing.
Our current production capacity is 2 tons. per month. Then we want to produce 10 tons per month by the end of this year, 2017. Eventually move to 10 tons per day once we have the right equipments in place. We are currently in a process of procuring equipments, that is the dewatering and carbonization equipment. For dewatering, it's a modern method of reducing the moisture content in the sludge. This will be able to reduce the moisture from about 85% to 60%.
The project is supported by FMV Netherlands Development Organization and the European Union, among other partners. It aims to help protect the environment and forest while improving sanitation. Residents are able to use it for cooking and heating. Most of them say they burn longer and have less smoke compared to charcoal and firewood.
It doesn't have an odor. It cooks well. The fire burns well. You are able to cook fast, and the briquettes burn for long. For example, if you are cooking 100 chapatis, when you get to 50, you still have a fire, unlike charcoal, which you have to keep adding after cooking 30 chapatis.
The project is supporting households and landlords to construct more than 6,000 special toilets in poorer parts of Nakuru, as well as in schools, to help collect human waste. Plans are also in place to replicate the project in other parts of the country.
Well, we now have Bolande Olutosin to give us an update on the developments in the global oil market. Thank you very much, Bolande, for coming through to us again. Now, just quickly give us a brief update on the current dynamics driving oil prices at this time.
Yeah, you mentioned it all. You know, oil prices are still characterized by increasing supply and reducing demand. It's not, surprising in this time. Nothing has really been done to cut back supply. We know obviously OPEC extended its output cut, but so far that hasn't really had any significant impact on oil prices. You also mentioned, the U.S. Crude stockpiles declined by 5.8 million barrels per day. It's not really significant. It's a small amount, but that was just due to the holidays, increasing consumption of fuel for travel for the holidays. But other than that, demand is still low, fundamental remains weak, and we haven't really seen any significant changes to oil prices, currently trading at about $48 per barrel.
Now, markets are concerned that OPEC cut is not enough to soak up oil glut. Yet, Russia is resisting further cuts in output. Where does that leave OPEC?
It's bad news that Russia feels this way. I know they've mentioned that, they don't believe or they're not convinced that deepening output cuts would actually have an impact on oil prices. But that just leaves us at a position where we've actually realized that OPEC production has actually increased. Although they've said, okay, we're extending output cuts, but then the compliance level hasn't been great. Currently, from the April to May production numbers, we saw that 75% of OPEC oil producers actually increased supply. OPEC exports actually increased by about 450,000 barrels per day from May to June. So as much as they supported extension of output cuts, it seems like they're not doing so much to make sure that this is adhered to. Okay,
thank you very much, Bolande, for this update. Thank you for your time. Well, that's a wrap on today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for being part of it. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagu.